I think what's come out of like these past like week of announcements and interactions between senior leadership and HampRiseUp like activists is that something that like hasn't been shown through in our demands is effective structural and representative power for students, specifically the Board of Trustees demand that we have, and that the options committee does not fill that representative void for students.
You are not the only person who makes these decisions, and we know that. But we're hoping, one, that you advocate for us rather than like resist us. And the second thing is that there are some demands that you do have control over, which is like the options committee, and that was your choice to appoint people and not allow us to choose representatives, and to continue to not allow us to choose representatives on that committee.
So we're really looking at the board moving forward and looking at not representation necessarily, but expertise around different areas.
But on the idea of expertise, it's important that I think you try to hear it from our perspective what expertise sounds like. Expertise sounds like something that's both classist and meant to withhold student voices.
Yeah, I actually just want to bring up a quote that we have from this last Thursday, which when we also asked you about the options committee, you said that you felt that sometimes representation is not what is needed.
We have 2 students, awesome 2 students. We've got staff, we've got faculty, awesome people. So we've got, I mean, it depends on how you define representation. We have really disparate voices and challenging voices, and so we have diversity on that committee. I believe we have diversity of opinions. I believe we have diversity of backgrounds. I think we have diversity of experiences. I do feel that we have it.
When a marginalized group of people tells you that they do not feel represented, that they do not feel that their, quote, representatives in a group are sufficient, it is not appropriate for you to tell that marginalized body that they are wrong about their own representation.
With regard to everything that you just said, when concerns were raised about the Cultural Center and the James Baldwin programs, I'm not really sure why those programs are even possibly considered disposable.
I would never categorize them as disposable. I would, if it's okay, I'd like to use the words from a faculty of color who in one of our meetings said,
don't tokenize them. Don't speak for them. Yeah. Please don't do that.
You said that the CC and the James Baldwin program were part of the core principles and that they were critical. And I want to ask you if those are the same things as non-negotiable.
no, they're not. Oh, so they're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andrew?
During the fishbowl meeting, I'm not really recalling the date, but Kim Saul said that we can't afford diversity at this campus. So that statement about we have a lot of diversity within the voices that are represented, those points are very contradictory, entirely contradictory.
Emery?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I do have one, if it's okay, I have one response. I feel that that remark about Kim Saul is very much taken out of context. The issues right now for us are that we are so lean on our support of students. We are so lean that we can't do the work that we want to do with students and have the support for students. And so I feel that that comment was taken out of context. So.
Yeah, my thing is that we're talking about diversity, we're talking about representation, we're talking about expertise, but our specific demand is on representatives. That means they are chosen either through an elected body like the Student Advocacy Network or by the entire student body. And that is how we know, because we trust students to choose the right representative.
So we would imagine a president that represents us to come here the moment that we start sitting in. And so like even the act of leaving was saying that like, you're annoying me, I have to go. And that's just showing that our voices don't matter.
I can just speak personally. I felt like we had a lot of dialogue and then it just broke down because we met all the demands as rapidly as we possibly could, working with all of you. And
A majority of the demands that we had explicitly written down have not yet been met, hence why we're still here.
Yeah.
You got rid of NDAs.
Yeah.
But you also said that you're creating a new committee that became the options committee. While we did ask for a committee to be formed to help with choosing a partner, we asked for representatives.
One of the things that we laid out very specifically was that these demands or significant progress on each of the demands would be done by March 1st. It is March 4th.
A lot of the things that you are proposing doing, which are lovely things, like creating a space for us to meet, a student union. I can't speak for for Rise Up Hamp as a whole, but from my own standpoint, those look far more like, I don't know, pacifications.
I don't have, the answer for the two people on the board is unfortunately not. And so that's an answer. So I recognize that we have not met your demand.
In one of our earlier meetings in this office, you explicitly said that you were going to give the raw data to the faculty that demanded it from their constituents. And we've heard from the faculty that even though you told us you were going to do that by the next Tuesday, that you never did that.
There are now even more faculty on the Budget and Priorities Committee, and they are very involved in all of this. That is the committee from which the data comes.
That's inaccurate. It's inaccurate because I've seen the data that was released until recently. I was on the Budget and Priorities Committee. I resigned. So I know what's been released. It is not raw financial data. It is at best projections at which we do not understand where the numbers come from, and we asked specifically for the numbers that led up to the January 15th decision, and we have not seen those.
In terms of the laws, the board's primary responsibility is to the mission of the college. You can't separate people out from the mission or the work of people, which includes the students, alumni, parents, faculty, and everybody.
If you cannot separate the faculty and staff and students from the concept of the college itself, why is it acceptable to lay off 30 to 50% of faculty and staff without trying to find an alternative way?
Cool. Based on the budget projections that were given to the Budget and Priorities Committee, you know, cutting the faculty is only increasing our debt. But it seems our financial problem only gets worse the more students and faculty you lose.
Boy, I just have to say, I'm just so feel like I'm in an alternative universe here. I am working so effing hard to find alternatives so that we don't lay people off. But right now, unfortunately, if we don't lay people off, we're going to be closing the school. So we have to be doing this. It is awful. I've said this before.
I'm curious as to how exactly spelled out the school has to close if you don't lay off faculty and staff. Like,
we don't have a ton of cash reserves in this college.
Potential partial solutions to it, I think that it's important to bring up again the question of pay cuts for senior leadership.
We need to realize that the $350,000 a year salary that you get does not include vacation time and sick time, health insurance, life insurance, all these other benefits. You say that you want to preserve jobs and that is important to you, but if you went down to that $120,000 a year cut that faculty suggested, even if that only saved 2 jobs, isn't that worth it to you?
Is finding a solution so that we can make sure our mission moves on, that we preserve as many jobs as we possibly can so our current students can get Hampshire degrees is the absolute goal here. People use the word merger. I don't use that word merger. There are really potential very interesting partnerships that would actually let us do more of what we want to do. That's what I'm working on. A lot of discussion has gone on, and there are a number of there are a whole host of different things that have to be considered with this college moving forward. And I'm meeting with so many people all day long. I mean, there are multiple conversations that are happening. It has come up in conversations. I can't say much more than that, but it is critical. There are very good conversations happening. All I can say is we're working as hard as we possibly can deep conversations to make this happen, so we could have more conversations. There were a number of different things there. We did a number of the things that we could do. The options committee, with the board, with conversations, and we're working as hard as we possibly can. There are some potential opportunities that we are working to make sure that we preserve the most independence that we possibly can, including full independence. All of these things are being worked on really hard. All I can say is that this is, and I will tell you, I am fighting like you can't even imagine to maintain our independence. It's critical. So I'm looking at all of these things. It's just that because of conversations, we can't have some of these conversations be public right now, or we lose our best opportunities. So I'm just going to stop with that.
All right,
I would like to reiterate Dory's statement, which is that I don't think you answered the question.
I study linguistics, and the English we is ambiguous. You've been using the word we and us a lot. You've been saying we are trying to preserve our mission. This is a rhetorical question, but who is included in that we and who is not?
Not been answering our questions. To be fair, in this meeting you have responded, it's just you haven't responded with answers. You've responded with a lot of buzzwords, you've responded with a lot of descriptions. That is a large reason why we have no confidence that you will in the future answer our questions.
If I may, I felt like I answered questions, and I don't have a better answer for you, and I'm not going to satisfy everybody. So
the board keeps quoting, and you keep quoting, that you guys have the fiduciary responsibility to the Hampshire's mission. And I think about that, and I think in my head, how is the board fulfilling the fiduciary responsibility they have by having the longest college sit-in in U.S. history happen right now?
I do not want this college to close.
It's not what you do that makes it radical, it's how you do it.
Fair enough. I said fair enough.